Hello my dear friends, and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to make yourself a cup of hot and tasty drink if you want, because today we have very interesting stories, and one of them is a story about a woman with her mom who nearly killed the residents of a group home in order to be with her son. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Some background. I'm a male RN and work in the emergency room of a medium-sized hospital. I mostly work nights. In Germany you get more money when you work night shifts because the time and night shifts are longer than normal day shifts. We work 3 different shifts, morning from 5:30 am to 2 pm, day from 11:30 am to 8 pm, and the night shift from 7 pm to 6 am. So I've got some stories. At nights the real crap happens. Oh, that happened pre-COVID, so no mask, visitors were allowed, yada yada. So that night I worked at the front desk. So mostly doing admission of the patients, handling their healthcare IDs, we have universal healthcare, screw it America. And well, just manning the reception. This was I think around 1:00 am, so the ER was relatively empty. At night there are like 3 hours when something is happening rarely. So yeah, I sat there, sipping my 3rd cup of coffee and chatting with a fellow nurse. Then the EPs arrived. I didn't see them coming. Excuse me? There she were. A thing I only knew from the internet. A Karen in Germany, damn. She had the typical haircut and that I'm better than you vibe. In tow, she had a man, he seemed normal. Oh, sorry. How can I help you? The perfect customer service smile. Yeah, I searched my daughter, her sister texted me that she is here, her name is daughter. Yes. She's been admitted here. Well, then what does she have? Can I see her? Now I have to explain. We've got some privacy law here in Germany. So if you're a legally adult, 18 and over, you have full privacy and without your consent, I can't give anyone any data. Not the parents, not the siblings, not the significant other, not the kids. So yeah. Sorry. I can't give you patient's data. That it's against the law. We are her parents, and she's our child. She's 18, so she's an adult. Without her consent, I can't tell you anything. But I can call the doctor she is seeing and ask. Fine, but make it quick. Tipping her feet on the ground. The daughter don't want her parents there and denied them any information. That's her rightfully choice. I'm sorry. But your daughter denied you any informations. What? Meltdown is about to start. I'm her mom, bring me to her. Now ma'am, please lower your voice, that's a hospital. Yes, and I wanna know what's with my daughter, I'm her mother. She should share everything with me. Well, I don't need you to find her. She then passes the desk and goes in the direction of the treatment rooms. Hey. You can't go there. I get reinforced with another male RN and a male nursing student and block her way. All this commotion had attracted the attention of the attending ER doctor. He stormed out of his office. Our night doc is a good doc, but well, he has some temper. Attending, what's going on here, damn it. Karen, look smug. Ah, good, a doctor. These men are blocking our way to our daughter. She must be scared to be alone here, and we need to comfort her now. So OP. Her daughter, yes, she's here with Doctor's eye. She's 18 and denied her visit and any information about her health. Liar. Our daughter is only 16. Yeah, well, listen lady, now he crosses his arms, I believe this guy here slightly more. If you proceed to invade this space, where only patients and staff are allowed, I'll have you escorted out. You can wait in the waiting room. What will you do? Have the security throw us out? No, I will do it myself if you are not leaving this instant. I will sue this hospital, I know the management. She stomps out her husband in tow. If she shows up again, call security immediately. Well, lucky enough, Karen never came back that night. Her daughter was seeing a gynecologist that night about something with her lady parts. She told me, I escorted her out at like 3:00 am, that her parents went nuts every time about such things, how they hate her BF and claim she is too young to date. I assured her that they won't get any data from us and that she can always come here, we are servants to the community. We have similar privacy laws. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure ER staff would even be able to confirm the daughter was there without her permission. I know for a fact patients' names are never on the hospital's website. Background info. I live by a river and every now and again the ski club there host events like open days or concerts and parties. They also have a small caravan park for people to stay. Now and again, some kid staying over, or whose parents are at an event will go on a climbing frame that is in an unfenced part of our garden. Although there are signs saying it's private property, we aren't too bothered as there aren't many, and they aren't too loud. Recently they hosted the village beer festival, and it ended up being very popular. This meant so many parents decided to take their kids to the ski club for the day. On that morning I was woken up by dozens of high-pitched screams and looked out of my window to see what was going on. To my surprise, there was about 20 kids all playing on my climbing frame out in the garden. I realized what had happened and was furious. All the parents had left the kids at our climbing frame to entertain themselves while they all got drunk. I was furious. First we decided to flip over my climbing frame as a passive-aggressive way of saying back off, but soon after they flipped it back over, almost destroying our fence in the process, and continued to drive us all slowly insane. We decided we needed to do something drastic, and I called my friend, who was good at destroying things. He rushed over with some basic tools, screwdriver, Allen key, and we began to disassemble the climbing frame. We got bored of just unscrewing it all, and most of the bolts were all rusty, so we started breaking it and snapping bits off. This was when most parents came to see what we were doing. They were all mainly decent people and were just worried about us potentially being vandals, so when they realized that it was ours, they apologized and left. All but one. Enter entitled Mum. I'm English and that's how we spell mom. Although I thought EMs were more of an American thing, I was surprised to see how much she resembled a classic EM. That trademark haircut. Annoying grainy voice. And yes, she was entitled EM. Entitled Mum, EF. Epic, but overly sarcastic, friend, me. Stone Cold Steve Austin, MM. My mum, absolutely awesome person and I'm not afraid to say I love you for how you dealt with EM. Excuse me, what are you vandals doing? Dismantling our climbing frame, if it isn't a problem to you. Are you criminals trying to say you own this climbing frame that belongs to the ski club? I escort her to the sign saying private property. See, it's ours. She couldn't easily humbly say sorry and accept she was wrong, so she continues to pick a fight. Well, why have you just ruined my child's fun? Child couldn't care less, and all the other children's fun. Because they are distracting us and it's private property, and you should have thought about that before bringing your child to a beer festival. Well, you should fix it before I call the police on you. Oh, I'm so sorry, officer, don't arrest me for destroying my friend's climbing frame. She is red with anger and begins screaming abuse at my friend about how he should respect her and not be an arrogant crap. All the while I was calling my house phone from my mobile waiting for my parents to pick up when finally my mum answers. I loudly say, "Hi mum, yeah, this kind lady is having a go at us for breaking our climbing frame and saying that I don't live here. Are you alright?" Explaining. "Thanks." She storms over to me and I put my phone on speaker. "Listen here, ma'am, your evil children are vandalizing a climbing frame and denying my child his right to ply Shut up you cow and look at this." Phone drops to the floor. EM looks at our house and absolutely shocked, she sees open the window and begins screaming at her to back off and leave our garden and leave us alone before she comes down and hits her with a rake. EM's confidence drops and she strides away looking, although she had crap herself as shouts jerk and flips her off. It may not be the most dramatic story in the world, but it's proof to at least me that these people exist everywhere. Even in a small English village. And that same Karen would scream she's suing you if her precious angel got hurt playing on the climbing frame. Brilliant move, taking it down. Saved a ton of headache in the long run. Many years ago, I worked in a group home. For the privacy of all the residents, we had a set visitation room with visitation hours by appointment only. Appointment only so that two families weren't trying to visit at the same time. It had a separate entrance and a door that shut it off from the rest of the house. It had a half bath, a TV, cable hookup, game console, maybe 50 games, DVD player, and about 150 movies, board and card games, along with nice comfy seating and a small 4-person table. Visitors were not allowed anywhere but that room if any of the other residents were home. It didn't matter if Bill wanted to show off his new bedding set or if Jack's mom wanted to see if he needed new clothes. If the other residents were home, no. The families of 5 of the residents were fine with it. Kyle's mother and grandmother were not. They firmly believed they were within their rights to enter the rest of the house and inspect it and his housemates. He was their baby and they had rights by God. Actually no. The residents of this home were 30 to 40-year-old men with developmental and physical disabilities. They were all actually wards of the state. The fact they were even allowed to know where he was, let alone visit, was a huge privilege. Our agency had many other homes where the families of the residents had no idea where they were and weren't allowed to see them. The families were only allowed to contact the case manager and inquire about them. Back to Kyle's mom and grandma. It was a constant battle to keep them out of the rest of the house. It got to the point that we had to have an extra staff member during their visits. They had to sit outside the connection door while the visits were going on and physically stand blocking their way when they would attempt to enter. I lost track of how many times we ended up calling the police to have them removed from the main part of the house before that happened. That's when they started calling the police on us. After the third time of them calling the police to demand entrance to the rest of the house, they lost their privilege of visiting. Kyle was moved to another home where they weren't allowed to know the address. This didn't go over well, to put it nicely. They were adamant Kyle was still in our home, and they threatened us several times that we would pay for keeping their baby from them. A restraining order was granted against them, keeping them 800 feet from the house, staff, residents, and no calls to the house. It all came to a head one night when, at dark 30, I was locking up the house for the night. All doors and windows had to be checked and the alarm set. Another staff was doing bedtime medicine. The other two were helping out with bedtime routines and getting laundry going. I kept telling the other staff I smelled smoke, like a campfire. Just faint whiffs of it. They said I was crazy. I had just walked the entire house and nothing was burning. It must be a neighbor having a small backyard fire or something, and I got a whiff while closing the windows, and it was stuck in my nose. It finally was strong enough for the others to smell. In pairs, we checked the house again. Nothing but the smell is getting stronger. We met back in the living room and decided to go ahead and call the fire department when we realized we could see wisps of smoke in the living room. We woke the residents and had them put on shoes and jackets. The smoke in the living room was now clearly visible and starting to make its way towards the bedrooms, and it triggered the alarms, finally. Protocol was to evacuate and get the residents to the van. The living room was the exact center of the house with an open floor plan with the kitchen one side and a laundry room on the other. The bedrooms were through the living room and to the left and right, along with the two bathrooms, the visitors' room and our office being at opposite ends of each other. Down the hall we shuffled to our office because the van was parked to that side and the keys in the office. As we came around the corner of the house, we see the source of the smoke. Our front porch was on fire. The house was brick, which is what was preventing it from spreading outward, but it was spreading upward towards the roof. The police and fire departments arrived just as we reached the van. Fire department went to work on the house, police head towards us. We're all fine, except 4 people came running up to us. Kyle's mother and grandmother, along with 2 unknown men. The 2 women started screaming for Kyle, and they were here to rescue him. We had endangered him by allowing him to live in a fire trap. They suddenly realized there was no Kyle in the group and were now screaming that we had left him to burn in that house. They were suing us, they would shut us down and have us in prison for murder. The police quickly asked if we had left someone behind, to which we answered no, we have all 6 men, but for their safety, we had to get them in the van, and then we would sort this out. The police held mother and grandmother back from us while they continued to shriek about Kyle, and we had left him to die. 2 of the staff loaded them while me and my coworker talked to the police, starting with the fact those 2 women had a restraining order, and for his safety and ours, Kyle had been moved to a location unknown to them. They were cuffed immediately and told to pipe down. We proceeded to explain what had transpired that evening. The fire was doused quickly while we did this. One of the firemen came over to talk to the officers, and we heard him say there was preliminary evidence this fire was set deliberately. There would be a formal investigation. Kyle's mother and grandmother were arrested for violating the restraining order and suspicion of arson. The 2 men were arrested on suspicion of arson also. Results of the investigation determined a clear case of arson. There was also a deliberate rigging of a device to the door leading out of the visitation room that would have been fatal to the person opening the door, and if anyone was close by, debilitating, if not fatal. The 4 were indicted on vandalism, arson, 8 counts of attempted homicide, 2 counts attempted murder. It came out they were unaware of the other side door, which saved lives. They got a plea deal and got 7 to 10 years each. This was back in the early 2000s, so I don't remember what exactly the sentence was. Completely deserved. They are such idiots for putting other innocent people in danger just because of their crazy obsession of seeing their baby. That is so screwed up. My friend and I lived in close proximity to a dog park. It was super convenient as he could run his husky around multiple times a day. We were working on socializing our dog, so it gave us plenty of opportunity as well. We're fairly guarded around dogs she hasn't met before, as she's reacted violently if they invade her space before she's ready. One day we're chatting, my dog on one side of the fence and his on the other, and they're sniffing each other. This third dog trots up without their owner and gets a bit too close, and ours lets out a growl, so we pull her away and keep distance, but this dog really wants to meet her. We basically have to form a sort of human shield to keep them separate, all the while wondering where this dog came from. He had a collar, but no leash or harness. My friend goes and looks around and sees a guy getting into a beat-up Corolla in the parking lot. He yells out and asks if it's his dog, and the guy hesitates for a minute before yelling back that he can't take care of him any longer, he's not in college anymore. He then starts his car and tears out of the lot. By this point, my friend was close enough to get his license plate, so he comes back and attracts this dog with some treats he had on him. This frees me up to call animal control, and between us having the dog, who was chipped, and the license plate of the owner, they were able to collect the dog and said they charged the guy with a misdemeanor for animal abandonment. I'm just amazed at the level of entitlement that I can just leave my dog at the dog park and someone else will take care of them from now on. Also, what if it had been an aggressive dog? Some people, I just don't understand people like that. Pets are a lifetime commitment to that animal, you're its whole world. If you abandon them, they become sad and wonder what they did wrong to make you leave them. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, and if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here. The story is about a woman who made a scene when OP refused to develop a game for her son. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.